Okay, now we're down to the final two categories. Let's start with Best Director. The nominees are Chloe Zhao for Hamnet, Josh Safdie, Marty Supreme, Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, and Ryan Coogler for Sinners. There's certainly a lot of love for Sinners and for Ryan Coogler, but this is PTA's to lose. He is by far the favorite here. I think he deserves to win. The great PTA, my biggest hero. You're one of your biggest heroes. It's really nice to see him have this moment. And I don't think anyone can dethrone him from this moment.
I mean, between the BAFTA win and the Golden Globe win and the DGA win, this should pretty much be in the bag. He's also, I think, the director, biggest veteran in this category.
That's true.
I will also say that the DGA has been particularly good about predicting who's going to eventually win this category. The only time since 2009, the expansion year, that they missed the call was in 2019 when they ended up giving it to Sam Mendes for 1917, and Bong Joon-ho was able to win for Parasite, which would end up winning Best Picture. So barring that, there should be strong evidence to suggest that Paul Thomas Anderson should comfortably pick this award up.
Right. If there is a spoiler, very unlikely, but if there is one, it would be Ryan Coogler for Sinners.
It would have to be Ryan Coogler for Sinners, so this is a win for Warner Brothers regardless.
So predicted winner PTA, spoiler Ryan Coogler. And finally, we're going by the last category, Best Picture, and the nominees are Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams.
Okay.
Clearly a two-horse race.
Two-horse race. One Battle After Another is the winner at the Writers Guild Award, the winner at the Producers Guild Award, the winner at the Directors Guild Award,
BAFTA.
The winner at the BAFTA Film Awards.
The Ace Eddie.
Won the Ace Eddie Award for the film editors.
The ASC.
The ASC for the cinematographers. Won the ADG, Art Directors Guild Award for production design, contemporary. Won Costume Designers Guild, I believe, for contemporary.
Yes.
Essentially...
Won the Makeup and Hairstyling Guild for contemporary.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Even makeup and hairstyling. I thought that was one of the few it missed. The one place where I think it hasn't really pulled off a significant victory is in the sound guilds, either the Motion Picture Sound Editors or the Cinema Audio Society. Nonetheless, it was nominated there. At the Academy, essentially nominated across the board, missed a nomination in the makeup category, although it did make the long list. And so One Battle really showing up everywhere it needs to show up. It even has a SAG win, and it broke SAG records. And yet, as far out as One Battle appears to be, it cannot be ignored that Sinners was the film to make history
the Oscars,
at the Oscar nomination morning when it got 16 nominations, and that's the highest ever. And that it also closed the season on a high with a SAG Ensemble win.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think that this is going to be an easy victory whatsoever, One Battle After Another. There are some things that I do like, though. What are your thoughts before I continue? What do you think about that?
I think One Battle After Another is an indomitable force. I think it's clearly one of the, if not the best film of the year. And I think that's why we've seen it do as well as it has in all the precursors and all the guilds. I think there's a lot of love and passion for the film, for what it means, for what it stands for PTA's stature in the industry, for his career, for his artistry. Even though I think you're absolutely right that there is a lot of passion and there is a lot of love for Sinners, I just think that it's very clearly Paul Thomas Anderson's moment to have in the spotlight as a whole. And I expect that to be true to the very end, and for One Battle to be the Best Picture winner, despite the passion that I know that there is for Ryan Coogler. I think there's a large understanding that as much passion as there might be for Sinners, Ryan Coogler has time to continue to get, these awards and recognition, and PTA has been at it for a while. In fact, I think there was a record of him being the, oldest filmmaker or the filmmaker with the most losses.
Oh wow, is that
The
true?
director with the most losses, something like that.
Yeah, between producing nominations, writing nominations, and directing nominations.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
And so I just think there's just a broad understanding, like there was, not completely unsimilar to, wanting to have Christopher Nolan have his moment, et cetera. I think there's a big, larger understanding that, it's time to have for PTA to have his, crowning achievement.
I mean, finally,
at the Oscar stage,
kind of not unlike Oppenheimer again. Just I think Paul Thomas Anderson's just sort of putting it all together in terms of what the Academy is going to finally take debate on. It's a extremely relevant film. It's also very imaginative, has his authentic sensibility, and yet it has this spectacle element. And so very much doing everything that the Academy would require you to do. I think also undoubtedly, at least in my opinion, it's the film between the two of them that is going to have at least the edge in terms of international appeal. Did not go to any major film festival, did not want to go to Cannes or Venice or Toronto, any of those. Yet nonetheless, I think the respect and admiration that the global film community has for Paul Thomas Anderson it has always existed and continues to exist. Paul Thomas Anderson has gone to Venice with The Master and has gone to Cannes with Punch Drunk Love. So he's admired and revered and loved in these places, even if he does not want to take his film to premiere there. I think the other element is that the topic of the film is what the international community is most going to take to heart, because what's going on in America is no longer a U.S. issue. It is a global issue because it has ramifications that extend far beyond our borders. And so any film that tackles this head on is going to be something that the global artistic community wants to support, but certainly, shine a spotlight on, to have a discourse about. There's an element about, as subversive as it is, a big Hollywood blockbuster like Sinners that I think was so admirably made on Ryan Coogler's terms, which is a tremendous. But I don't think it's going to appeal as much to the international branch.
I agree.
That said, it appeals, I think, tremendously to actors, who are the biggest branch. I think the thing to talk about, in my opinion, is, again, just that record of 16, which is 2 more than the films that had the most nominations. That's La La Land, that's Titanic,
Ben-Hur.
that's All About Eve. Ben-Hur actually, I believe, had a few less nominations. I think possibly 11. It just had the most wins. Kind of like Return of the King.
Yeah.
But we're not seeing a sweep here for Sinners, especially not while Wombatto's around. They should split a lot. But what I want to say with that is, if Sinners loses, what would happen is it would become the most nominated film ever in history, and also the most nominated film ever in history to walk away without Best Picture, a title that formerly belonged to La La Land, which I think is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is.
To that, just a sort of parallel to that is the same way that One Battle After Another became the most nominated film in SAG history and walked away without the SAG Ensemble Award.
Right.
I think if One Battle were to lose Best Picture, I think you agree, we're talking about a split here, right? Sinners wins Best Picture and One Battle wins Best Director.
100%. Yeah, I think there's no way around that.
Here's what I'm thinking. Couple of ways the scenario breaks down. Number 1, most recently in my mind of scenarios, comparisons of splits, what comes to my mind is Jane Campion, Power of the Dog,
And
Best Director, and Coda for Best Picture. And Alfonso Cuarón, Roma for Best Director, Green Book for Best Picture. What I think is interesting about that split on both those occasions, when you have Jane Campion and Alfonso Cuarón win those Best Director prizes, and they're very much the predicted frontrunner throughout the race, right? And they win major awards, BAFTAs, Guilds, and yet they fall short on Oscar night. I think it's interesting that both their DNA is that both films did not get an eye for a SAG Ensemble. Power of the Dog or Roma. Roma completely sidelined at SAG.
Snubbed.
Power of the Dog, they did not mention for Ensemble.
That's true.
I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And One Battle, that's not the
That's
case,
not the case.
right? It was listed for ensemble. It won a SAG award for Sean Penn,
Also
right?
broke
And it broke
records.
records, right? So I do think there's a little bit of a difference there.
Mhm.
When I think about the films that were able to beat Roma and Power of the Dog, we're talking about Coda and we're talking about
Green Book.
Green Book. And I think there's a little bit of a secret recipe that's going on there, which is screenplay and acting. If you're a film that can win screenplay and acting, it puts you in a very prime position to win Best Picture,
Right.
which we're sort of predicting Sinners is going to be able to do
Right.
because it's going to get original screenplay. And we're predicting a
least-
Wound Me win
And
and a Michael win,
right.
right? If it at least gets one of those, it's in prime position to upset for Best Picture,
Right.
right?
Except that we're also predicting One Battle to walk out with screenplay, and an acting one.
And an acting one as well. Even then, I do think that, when Coda wins the Ensemble Award, that could be a similar energy to when Sinners won the Ensemble Award and One Battle didn't.
Except that Coda won the Ensemble Award at the SAG, but it was also, we saw it repeat when it won the PGA.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And I think the PGA was a very good moment
Mhm.
to give to Sinners.
Yeah.
There was a strong argument to be made that the PGA could have gone to Sinners.
Right. Exactly.
But I do think that, I think the last film to win Best Picture without being nominated for a SAG Ensemble was Nomadland. It was a pandemic year. Like I said, I love that One Battle After Another got that SAG Ensemble, that it got 7 nominations.
Mhm.
I do worry about the idea that you can see Wound Me and a screenplay win for Sinners possibly, spoil Best Picture and have Sinners show up there. But with the SAG love that One Battle did receive, I do think there's going to be enough to hold back Sinners from finally winning Best Picture, albeit it'll be the most nominated film in history by a wide margin. I mean, 2 really, but 2 is much more than you would think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure anyone's going to be able to come close to 16 again without winning Best Picture.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. I see your point. I just think, like I said, One Battle is unstoppable, and the PTA moment is unstoppable, and One Battle After Another will go down as, you can see it already. One of the, best picture winners that we've had. You can see the iconography already. The River of Hills. Those final moments, everything the film is speaking to and
Right.
reflecting the current state of the world.
Right.
And not to say that Sinners doesn't have, a timeliness to it and a power to it, and how it's expressing its story and its art. That's absolutely true. But I just think that the moment is ripe for One Battle After Another.
I mean, I think going back to some of the things that we've alluded to already, the one thing to look out for during the night is, does One Battle win an acting award?
Mhm.
Because if it starts to get shut out from supporting actress and supporting actor and actor, it's time to worry. Because
I
as you
think it's
said,
time to worry, but I still would believe that One Battle would win at the end. It would be one of the rare films to win, possibly 5,
it would
possibly
have
more
to
than
join
5.
the rare
Right.
films. Yeah.
Right, 100%. But I still think that it's One Battle. But 100%, I see your reasoning. 100%.
I mean, that's certainly the angle that Sinners is going to have to try to
Mhm.
play. And I think they're doing a really great job, because I'm not sure that 2 weeks ago, a month ago, I was not going to predict the original screenplay win
for Sinners.
for Sinners.
Mhm.
2 weeks ago, I wasn't going to predict the best actor win.
Right.
And now we're talking about it potentially winning 2 acting awards and a screenplay. And when you mix acting and screenplay together and a SAG ensemble, it's a very dangerous combination.
Right.
So if there is an angle for it to win, it would be that.
Yeah.
Throw on top of that the most nominated film ever, and it's a very dangerous combination. I think One Battle will be able to hold it off based solely on a record-breaking SAG nomination haul and essentially, in my opinion, 1 acting win.
Right.
So
But
if any of that
what-
happens,
Yeah, but also what I'm arguing is the PTA moment, which is, I think, one of the biggest factors going in here.
I mean, I like that a lot, but when I think about the moment, I mean, I'm not surprised that Christopher Nolan gets the moment. He's been playing by the industry's terms, his own terms at the same time. Sure. They negotiate the terms that work for the industry and for him much longer than Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson goes and does his own thing.
Right.
And so does it exist in the realm of reality that Paul Thomas Anderson is a little bit more like a Jane Campion, a Best Director winner without being a Best Picture winner? And he's already going to win screenplay too, screenplay and director. Yeah, I think that exists. We'll see. We'll see if maybe he'll buck the trend a little bit. But I was never someone who thought, Paul Thomas Anderson is a Steven Spielberg, Christopher Nolan type of figure that, plays by their own terms.
I certainly agree with you. It's certainly not that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that could always show its face.
Right.
But I agree with you. I think right now it's one battle by a hair, but I think it's one battle.
Yeah. Well, and what a worthy Best Picture in that winner that would be. I'm hoping for one battle.
Yeah. And so
our predicted winner for Best Picture at the 2026 Academy Awards is One Battle After Another, PTA, and the spoiler is Sinners.
If you've been enjoying the Academy Anonymous podcast and want to support the work we're doing, there's a voluntary support link in the show notes. Totally optional. Just a way to help us keep the podcast going. Thank you for listening.
The music on this episode, entitled Cool Cats, was graciously provided by Kevin MacLeod and Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0.
Disclaimer. The Academy Anonymous podcast is in no way affiliated or endorsed by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences.